So we want to create questionnaires or survey form that can be used electronically or that can be printed in hard copies. And to do that, I'm here in google.com homepage, and from there you can see this icon here that looks like waffle. This is actually called App Launcher. So I click on the App Launcher in my Google homepage and you search for forms. I have it down here, and in case you don't have this in your own app launcher, so just come to your browser and go to forms.google.com. Either of the two ways will land you here. This is the form home page. The first thing you see on the top left hand side is the blank form, and here you see templates that you can use to quickly complete whatever you want to do as fast as possible. And down here you see the existing forms. All forms you have created at one point or the other, here is where they are automatically saved. So you can always come back here and pick any of the forms you've created before and reuse, edit, and do whatever you want with it. But for now, we'll be using a blank form to show you how it works and customize things the way we want. So our fresh form is here, and the landing point is under this tab, questions tab. And next to it we have responses, we have settings, and we also have all these other tools that I'll still show you how to use all of them. So here is the landing point, and that's where we'll start from. And here this way it says untitled form. So I will start by giving my form a title. I come in here, and as I drop in my title, immediately I click outside. The title will jump in here automatically for me. I click out now, and boom, it goes. Next is to give it a description. It's actually optional. And once I click in that, I have these editing tools to work with. I can decide to just highlight a section of my text, give it some effects just as I want it. Then I click out and see how it is. Next thing I want to do is I would like to give it a header to make it customized, to make it well customized for me, so people that will answer this survey or questionnaire will know it's actually coming from me. So I will need to give you something like my brand name, my brand logo through an image. So to do that, come up here to this custom themes, and in the custom theme we have all these to play around and edit. In the header we have choose image. I click on that, and the landing page to select header is under themes here, and we have different images to select from covering different sections of the world. So you can pick any of these that you think can work actually for you. But for me, I want to upload a particular image of my choice, so I click here. I can select browse to get it from my device, or I can drag and drop in here. You can decide to use this to capture whichever region you want to use. So for me, I'll be using this particular region here. Done. And now we have the header up here, and do you notice automatically it changes the themes to a major color or a relevant color from this picture here. And if you're not comfortable with the theme color that is selected here, you can just change the color the way you want it. But for me, I think I will go with the one that is relevant to the header image that I have here. At the same time, the color of the background can also be changed to whatever works good for you. Then I can close the theme section. Let's start pulling in question, customizing them for our choice. Put in my first question now. Google has read this question and is suggesting this should be a yes or no question. I think that is the way I want it, so I can just click add all. And next thing I would like to call your attention to is all text sections here, either the question itself or the options, they can take images. So for question, you click on this to add image to it if you want to use that to illustrate or to back up the text you put in here. The same goes with the question as well. If that's your choice, click in each section and you will see the functionality of adding images. And however, if you don't want a particular option, for this case I don't want maybe, so I need to just give it an X to take away the option there, and that goes away. Down this way you see this option here to duplicate this whole question type. Then it will duplicate it down here for me, so I can easily edit whatever I want to edit from it. And here is the button to delete a particular question. Here is when you want to make it required or compulsory for the respondents. Instead of copying now, I will try to use some of these so you see how it works. So I click on the first one here that says add a question, and I pulled in my second question very quickly. And for this kind of question, I don't want it as multiple choice. I want something that they can type in their answers themselves. Then I select short answer because I don't expect them to write much. 1 hour ago, 2 hours ago, last week, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. Short answer is perfect. Next is I would like to show you how to add different sections. But before that, I will quickly add another question. Now this kind of question is automatically yes or no question, so I'm going to use this. And in case you don't have this, edit and type yes yourself, then add option. No. Add option. So for this, I don't want this option. I will take it out. In case your answer for this is no, then you will need to jump to section 2. And that will not be for those that will answer yes. So let's create another section question now. Not just creating the next question, but we'll put the next question under a new section, which will be only for those that will select no. So to create the section for the next question, we come here and select the last option here, which is add a section. And the new section is up here for us to title. Now that we've given it a title, the next is to add a question to it. So I use this button to add a question. Automatically, Google suggested this should be a long answer, so it has changed to paragraph. I expect whoever chooses no up here to tell me why he or she has not subscribed yet. So while this section 2 is only for those that will say no up here, that means those that will choose yes would have to jump to section 3. So we need to create section 3 down here. Then I give it a title. Then I start putting questions under this section 3. Now this question type, I don't want it as multiple choice. I want it as checkboxes. So I click here and select checkboxes. Then I will start editing this. Add option. Add option. And in case there will be any other, I will just add this. So I have all these for them to choose, and I want this to be a compulsory question that they will not escape or they just have to answer. So I need to select required. Now let's try another question type and see how it works. Add question. I don't want multiple choice, so I select this and I make it drop down. And let's preview this and see how it's going to appear or look to someone who wants to respond to this. Come up here and click on this icon that looks like an eye. It's actually to preview it. Now the responder can select any of this or all of this. And for the drop down, I will need to continue to work on the form. What if I want to add a question that will require rating or scaling from 1 to a certain number, maybe scaling from 1 to 5? Let's try that. Add a question, and automatically it's changing to linear scale for me. And if it does not do that for you automatically, you can of course select here and choose linear scale from all this. And here it says 1 to 5. I think 1 to 10 will be good to measure what I need for this. So I go to 10. It may also interest you to know that you can add questions to this particular form from a form that you have created before. You can reuse questions from an old form that you have created before now. And let's try that. Come to these tools here, and the second one says import question. I click on that and it's taking me to the forms that I've created before this moment. The first one is the current form that I'm working on right now, so I'm not going to choose that. This is the one I want to use. Select. And you have this pop-up on the right hand side to show all the questions you have in that particular form. And if you don't want to select all, you can select maybe just 1 or 2 or however you want it. But for me, I'll be selecting all the questions. Then come down here, import questions, and the 2 questions have automatically been added for me. That makes it so easy to reuse what you already have. Let's see how this add title and description works. I click on that. I give it a title. Then under description, I put this here. Very sweet one to know that you can just drag each question. For example, I don't want this here. This should be the last thing at the bottom here. So I drag this and pull it down here. So you can just drag objects around in your form, whichever way you want it. Now we have 3 sections here. We have section 3 here, we have section 2, and we have section 1. Everybody attempting this questionnaire or this survey, we have to answer all this, and not all are actually relevant, especially section 2 is not for everybody. It's only for those that will choose no. Click in this section here so you can have your options under it. Click on these 3 dots here for more options. Choose go to section based on answer. So your answer here determines where you're gonna go. So for those that will say yes, I need to use this option here to send them to section 3 because they don't need section 2 at all. And those that will select no, I want them to jump to section 2. So for those that will ignore this question or that want to skip it because it is not required here, the require button is turned off. So they may not want to even experience any of this at all. So what happens? So whoever is skipping question 1, that kind of person or those kind of people will not have any business with section 2, which is why have you not subscribed, since they did not even choose yes or no in the first place. I want them to skip to section 3. So I click on this. Then I say go to section 3. If you just want the person to submit the form automatically, just like that, from this point, just submit and walk away, you can choose that. But for me, I would prefer they should just skip to section 3. Now that we have set where each person will go after choosing a particular answer, especially from this section 1 and 2, now let's see how it looks as someone who's responding to this questionnaire. So I click on preview, this eye icon. This is how it's going to appear for those that will answer this question. I will pretend as someone trying to answer this questionnaire now. So I give this a yes, skip this, I come down here to answer yes. If I answer yes, I am not supposed to see question 2. Why have I not subscribed? So I click this. And yes, this is the right page for me to continue from. Perfectly good and okay. I go back. Then this time I'll pretend to say no, and next should take me to where I will see reason why I have not subscribed yet. So if I answer this, then I proceed to next. Then I go back again. I go back again. What if I decide not to answer this question at all? I decide to just skip this entire question and I go next. It should take me to additional question section where I don't have any business to explain why I have not subscribed because I did not choose yes or no. This is a perfect one. Back to creating my form. Now that we are done creating the questions, the next tab here is responses, but we don't have anybody that has responded yet, waiting for responses. So let's proceed to settings. First button here is for quizzes. That is if you want to actually choose what is actually right or wrong answer. So I think this is not applicable to the kind of questionnaire or the questions I've created in this form. I will ignore this. And here says responses. When I drop this down, it says collect email address. If I want to have the email addresses of people that will respond verified, or responder should input it themselves, I can decide to go with this. Send responders a copy of their response. You can decide to make it yes or no, turn it on or off. It's your choice. So just work on this and see what is good for you. The next is to start sending it to people. You click on this send button here. The first option is to send via email, and you use all this to process that. And here is where you get the link to this form. Here is a very long form which you can copy directly from here, or you can decide to make it shorter here by using this button here, and it has been shortened for you. So you can copy the short or long link and send it to those that you want to have them respond to this form. So just play around this and see the way it works. And now that we are done with this, I can close this. Now I will show you how you can collect responses or see responses from people that have answered your questionnaire or survey. So I click response. Under response now, we don't have anything here because no one has responded yet. So I will quickly pretend to answer this and show you how it appears and how you can generate or print people's responses. I click on the preview. Then I start providing answers very quickly. Now it's telling me compulsorily I need to put in my email. Now as I submitted, it says submit another response. That's because I actually turned it on. If you don't want another one, you can turn that off in the settings where I showed you earlier. Now let's go to see the responses view now as the creator of the form. This has come up automatically. Now we have one response here now. So this is the summary showing the graphics representation of what the answers are. Alternatively, I can choose here to see each question and the answer the person has chosen under each. Then I click this button to see the next, this button to see the next, and so on like that. And if we have so many people that have responded, then we click on individual to see each person's response individually. And the same way you see their name at the top here and choose more on the list. Here I have one of one because it's just only one person. But if you have more than one person, use these handles to select more people. If you don't want any particular response, you can of course delete. Here, accepting responses is turned on. That shows people can still respond to these forms or survey. But if you don't want any response anymore, you turn it off, not accepting responses. And to print your response either in spreadsheet or in PDF, if you want it as spreadsheet, you use this button here to say link to spreadsheet here. Then it says create a new spreadsheet on this form. Then I click create. I think this is a fantastic way to also collate responses and answers. And if I go back to the form response, I can of course print their responses in PDF if that is my choice. So just click on this button here that says print, and I can save it as PDF or print from your printer directly if you want to do that. I can preview the pages of the answer of this particular person. Then I click save to download it as a PDF which can be viewed later. And as you are working around elements and objects in your form and you make a mistake and errors, you can just use Ctrl Z to undo and Ctrl Y to redo. Alternatively, you can just do it manually by going to this button here to undo and this other one to redo. And like we started from the beginning, in the future you want to come back to this form and check what it is or how the form is growing in terms of people responding to it. You remember, like I told you, you can just use this button here and pick your form right in here, which will land you on the form home page, and you select the particular form you want to check. Or alternatively, if you don't have this in your app launcher here, then you can just go to your forms.google.com. Then you land on the form homepage, where you will see all the forms you have created before, and this is the recent one we just created. Subscribing to this channel is good for you and me. Therefore, subscribe here and like this video by giving it a thumbs up so you can see my other videos. Thank you for watching.